I was looking at it. That right.
Relations makes up.
Yeah. I think with the science. How does it help you with that? I'm here. Okay, great. We can see everybody. I'll stay on the video. Perfect. For this is based on.
We give folks a little time there, so.
You want to get the audio? Yeah. Like this shape, this texture, foaming thing, like under a minute, you could make it another. You know, what was that? Never. Afterward, I was like, a lot of people in the U.S. and Europe, and it's never.
I wish I had my flute. Science on this.
Check, check. Good afternoon, and It's wonderful to be with you this. Okay. I invite you to go ahead and make sure you have a little food and a little drink and settle in. And if you're still doing that, perfectly fine. Thanks for being here. If you did not manage to get a program, we have plenty. So just raise your hand, and Elaine is happy to bring you a program if you would like one. Carole needs a program. Carole Barton, right up here in the front row. Wonderful. Okay. Anything else we need to remind people? And as you saw the signs on your table, please save a couple of bites and a couple of, for my microphone keeps cutting out here. Save a couple of bites and a couple of sips for a little meditation that we will be doing. Thank you. So my friends, my name is Reverend C, and this microphone is cutting out. Is there a reason for that? Do we have another microphone? Well, we will go with it for now. And anyhow, I am the minister at Namaqua Unitarian Universalist congregation, and it's a joy to be with you today. And this is a church that Dick was a founding member.
Good afternoon. My name is Reverend Dr. Claire Hamore. I was lucky to intern minister at Namaqua a few years ago, where I got to know Carole, who was on my intern committee, and Dick really well.
Wonderful. Glad you're here, Claire. I really miss seeing Dick around church at our meetings and our events, hearing his stories and his dry jokes. And today we will hear many stories about Dick, but one you may not realize, some of you, is how important Dick was to Namaqua Unitarian Universalist congregation. He was one of the driving forces behind the founding of Namaqua UU back in 1999 and 2000. And he continued to be very important and very involved with the leadership and the vision of Namaqua during the past 25 years of its existence. In fact, he even helped to start the Martin Luther King Day celebrations in Loveland. So, something he was very passionate about. He was our treasurer for many years and also managed to run and head up the stewardship campaign, the pledge campaign, just 2 years ago. And it was very successful. He did a wonderful job. So his DNA, the very essence of Dick, is really built in to the essence of Namaqua Unitarian Universalist. So this is why we miss him greatly. If Dick's life had a theme, it would be, I said yes to life. Give me a thumbs up if that sounds right to you. Yeah, I said yes to life. Dick's lived his life with gusto, always on an adventure, and as I am told, a daily adventure he loved was food. Is this true? Okay. Since we have the opportunity to be sitting at tables today with food and drink, I invite you to celebrate Dick and his passion for life with this brief meditation. Hopefully you've saved a bite or two and a sip or two. Let's begin with a nice big breath in and out. And as you breathe, every breath sustains our lives. And I invite you to breathe again with gusto, like Dick as he's anticipating the summit of yet another mountaintop. And his breath as he stood or sat next to you in friendship and in conversation. His breath was intertwined with yours. And now I invite you to take a sip of whatever you have before you. Whatever it is, it has water in it as well. So feel it as the wetness flows down refreshing you with life-giving water. And remember how it refreshed Dick's life too. Each drop flowing through his, drinking and also swimming, of a microphone that no longer works. Check, check. Okay, I'm going to come over to this one. When he was with you, can you hear me okay? Yeah. When he was with you, his experience of water was probably a part of your experience of water. Even as you both sipped a drink, maybe at Rotary meetings, maybe at church, or maybe on top of a mountain. And now I invite you to take a bite of food. And feel it rolling around in your mouth. Hopefully it's wonderful. And as the taste permeates your senses with delight, and remember Dick in this moment, as he too loved the full flavor of living, savory and sweet, tart and spicy, smooth and subtle. Sharing a meal with Dick was sharing in life together. So let us remember Dick in all these moments. Dick lived every day by saying yes to life. And through it all, he lived these special moments through his relationships with each of you.
Let's take one more big breath in here. Hold on to it, and then let it go. And I'd invite you to take a look around the table to the people who are sitting here, and to just make eye contact, maybe with a smile or a nod. Isn't it incredible how much we can miss someone when we sit down to eat? When I spoke with Carole after Dick passed, she said that she missed him particularly at dinner time. 53 years of dinners, countless ways of nourishing each other. Missing is a complex emotion. It means we long to see someone who is gone from us. It means we love and care about them enough to wish they were still by our side. Today, I know I'm not alone in missing Dick around these tables. I think that missing is one of the greatest indicators of love. It reminds us of how we're connected to each other even when we're apart. We come together today to celebrate Dick, and our tables are set for everything that comes with grief. Laughter and tears, longings and community, grief and joy and everything in between. However you arrived, whomever you are, whatever you brought to the table, you are welcome. This space is full of people who cared for Dick Barton, people who have come to celebrate his one wild and precious life. And in coming together, we're also caring for each other. And so I invite you to reach out and to give a squeeze or a hug, to reach out to those around you, bringing them more deeply into this space. Carole shared this really beautiful poem with us as we were putting together the service, and so we wanted to include it here. Rosemary Watola Trauma writes, "This morning, I woke thinking of all the people I love and all the people they love, and how big the net of lovers. It felt so clear, all those invisible ties interwoven like silken threads, strong enough to make a mesh for thousands of years. It's been woven and rewoven to catch us all. Sometimes we go on as if we forget about it, believing only in the fall, but the net is just as real. Every day, with every small act of kindness, with every generous act, we strengthen it. Notice even now how, as the wild whole world seems to be falling, the net is there for us. As we walk the day's tightrope, notice how every tie matters.
Dick is physically no longer with us, but there is no doubt that he is still here among us. His legacy shines forth from each of you. And today we celebrate him through memories and through your stories. As we celebrate and grieve, may we also remember you are Dick's legacy. Your heartbreak comes because he was so deeply interwoven with your own life. So, my friends, if you are related to him, feel the shared DNA that runs through your veins and give thanks. And if you loved him, feel the bonds of love that are still with you, enriching your every breath. And if he was your friend, feel the memories surrounding you like a cozy blanket, always warming you with his humor, wisdom, love, and kindness. You are all made different, enriched, enlivened, and endlessly blessed because Dick was a part of your life. Love truly is the most powerful force in the universe, and Dick's love is now emanating from you. May you be comforted by this love, for it is not leaving you. And may this love continue to flow through you as you too bless this world with your light and with your love. I invite us to sing Spirit of Life. Would you please stand if you feel comfortable? 2 times. Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me. Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Roll on the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
This beautiful eulogy was written by Carole, and she asked me to read it. Dick was a man of courage and determination. Throughout his life, when an opportunity arose that caught his interest, he would seize it and never look back. One opportunity he seized as a child got him in some trouble. Dick and his older brother, Doug, had several friends in the neighborhood in Wash Park, Denver. One of their friends, named John Ray, lived across the alley. In his backyard was a big peach tree that was loaded with ripening peaches. One day, Dick and Doug decided they'd practice shooting their BB gun, and the target was John's mom's peach tree. Dick and Doug enjoyed the afternoon shooting at peaches. Occasionally, they'd see a peach move. After a while, they got bored and put the BB gun away. All was forgotten for a while, but a couple of weeks later, they heard a ruckus in the kitchen. They were called there by their angry father. Mrs. Rabe, John's mother, was there too, and she was, all caps, livid. When she started harvesting her prized peaches, she found many, many, many rusted BBs inside. It wasn't hard to figure out who the culprits were. Perhaps this story is an early example of Dick's courage, although one wonders how brave he felt there in the kitchen with his angry father and a furious Mrs. Rabe. In the years that followed, Dick attended middle school and high school at South Denver. Then he studied chemical engineering at Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute in Troy, New York. Having participated in Naval ROTC during those years in college, he joined the Navy as an officer and volunteered to go to Vietnam. Perhaps this is the first true example of courage in his life. He served for 3 years. Shortly after he was discharged from the Navy, he chose to visit Kenya and Tanzania solo before beginning his first job at Procter Gamble. He rented a car in Nairobi and drove to several game preserves, soaking in the wilderness all around him. Somewhere in the middle of the Masai Mara National Reserve, his old rental car broke down. He wiggled underneath to do some troubleshooting and then suddenly noticed rustling in the grass nearby. He looked out from under the car and saw a pair of long, slender legs. He crawled out and took a look at a tall Maasai warrior in full regalia with a spear standing next to his car. The man looked directly at Dick and in English said, "Is it true?" Dick said, "Is what true?" And the warrior said, "Is it true that a man has landed on the moon?" What a wonderful chance encounter for both of them. After his adventure in Africa, Dick moved to Cincinnati to begin his career at Procter & Gamble. A year later, Carole moved to Cincinnati to begin her teaching career. As chance would have it, they both began attending St. John's Unitarian Church. It was there that they met, began dating, and eventually were married. Carole vividly remembers being picked up for their first date by Dick in his new Alfa Romeo Spider Veloce convertible. Very interesting. Then it became even more interesting as he modestly shared with her all his travels around the world. She'd never met anyone like this before, and he was only 27. In 1973, shortly after Dick and Carole were married, he was offered an opportunity to transfer to Grand Prairie, Alberta, to work on a new pulp paper mill, which was having startup difficulties. They were both very excited about this idea. However, there was a certain degree of trepidation because they just learned that they were pregnant with their first child. The medical system's quite different in Canada, and they didn't know what to expect. At the time, many of the physicians there had emigrated from the UK. And of course, there was the unknown socialized medicine in Canada. But they overcame their concerns and moved to Alberta anyway. Their son, Sean, was born there, and they stayed for a total of 3 years. It was a wonderful experience. The next move was to Memphis, Tennessee, where their daughter Shannon was born. The move from Alberta to Tennessee was a shock to the systems on many levels: heat, humidity, and most of all, culture. But now their family was complete. 3 years later, they were transferred back to Cincinnati, where they lived for several years while the children were in elementary school. However, they were both yearning to move to Colorado, where Dick had lived just prior to going to college. Carole had just finished her counseling degree and was offered a job in the Thompson School District. After much debate and discussion and genuine reluctance on Carole's part, They decided to take the risk. The family moved to Loveland in 1987. Dick resigned from 20 years of engineering career to create and build his own investment management company. Here was another opportunity and a huge challenge. His attitude was always very predictable. Let's go. Let's do it. While living in Loveland, Dick was involved in many different local organizations. His natural leadership ability was evident through his extensive civic involvement. He served as president of many community organizations, including United Way of Larimer County, the Martin Luther King Committee of Loveland, the Loveland Rotary Club, a member for 38 years, and the Namaqua Unitarian Universalist congregation. He was also a member of the McKee Foundation Board for many years. He saw these as great opportunities to serve his community and to do good in the world. He was always seeking new challenges and opportunities. His motto was, "Let's go, I'm in." The greatest challenge of all came during the last year of his life following a rollover car accident which left him quadriplegic. He was so determined to stand and to walk again. He participated in countless hours of PT and OT while at the VA hospital in Aurora and then in their home. He had such amazing determination, courage, and mental strength throughout the most difficult year. Carole and Dick's lives were full of fun and travel and hard work and adventure. Their 53 years together offered them many rich opportunities to experience life and the world around them. They could always count on each other for support and love and cooperation. Dick lived his life with courage, optimism, and grace. He lived well, he loved well, and was well loved. He's greatly missed by his family and friends. I'd like to invite Dick's daughter, Shannon, to share a reflection.
All right. Thank you all for being here today. Can you hear me okay? All right. Okay. We appreciate your support today and for the past 15 months as we navigated such a difficult time. Bringing meals to my parents' house, encouraging my mom to take time for herself and grab some coffee or lunch with a friend, and to my own friends for supporting us when there was so much uncertainty. We so greatly appreciate all of your love and support. One thing I would consistently write in cards to my dad, whether for his birthday or Father's Day, was how thankful I was for his support. It almost seemed cliche, but that is truly something that stood out. There was a support from a father that typically lends to their child, such as teaching them how to tie their shoes or learning how to swing on the swings. But as I grew older, his support and encouragement expanded. He nurtured my love for the game of soccer, kicking the ball in the yard with me frequently. When we moved to Loveland as a 9-year-old, there was essentially no girls' soccer. So for the first year, I played with the boys' rec program. It was during that time that he worked with the city to create a girls' rec program that started with 4 teams that all played one another. He became the coach of my team. While that program continued, in 6th grade, he decided it still wasn't quite the right fit for me. And he encouraged me to try out for Fort Collins Arsenal, a club that I played with for the next 7 years. During that time, he was committed to and enjoyed supporting and growing soccer within the region. He served on the board of the Thompson Soccer Association for several years, often hosting meetings at our house. I actually remember sometimes interrupting the meetings to say goodnight to him in my pajamas. Then he also worked as a referee assigner for Northern Colorado, finding and distributing refs for all the soccer games within Northern Colorado. A large, tedious task, but someone had to do it. He was a foodie before that term was even coined. Some of his favorite recipes were eggs Benedict, beef burgundy, and lasagna. He also loved to make a variety of sauces, and he really enjoyed Cajun food, including red beans and rice. And he enjoyed tweaking the recipes to tailor them to his tastes, which this actually seems like a good place to thank one of his friends, George Ralph, for sharing so many batches of red beans and rice over the last several years. I know he thoroughly enjoyed every bite, and it lifted his spirits this year. Anyways, at one point during the pandemic, I decided I wanted to try to make his version of eggs Benedict with hollandaise sauce. I had a vague idea of how to make this recipe, but I also knew if I wasn't careful, English muffins could easily burn, the eggs could become overcooked, and the hollandaise could become clumpy. So I called my dad and I asked him if he would be willing to teach me step by step over the phone, which he did patiently. This took over an hour, but I'm so glad I took the step-by-step notes of his process, so now I can make it in the future. Last, but certainly not least, I think most of us know how he loved desserts. Whether it was his special way of making brownies, hand-churning his amazingly delicious peach ice cream, making chocolate malts, which reminded him of childhood, flambeing bananas Foster, or caramelizing homemade creme brulee with a torch, I believe some of these experiments were a connection back to his love of chemistry. And interestingly, I think given the choice, his favorite was always chocolate cake. The foods being served today are some of his favorites. One other area of interest, support, and encouragement was his love of travel. He loved travel and adventure, learning about new places and cultures. He actually volunteered to go to Vietnam and then volunteered to be an officer on the river patrol boats. During his R&R, he took trips to Japan, the Philippines, and Africa. When I was a sophomore in college, I learned about a program called Semester at Sea, a program in which 600 students board an old cruise ship and sail around the world, stopping in roughly 10 countries over 4 continents. When I expressed interest to my parents, my mom was understandably hesitant, but my dad was all in. He was excited for me to adventure and learn about new places and cultures, to have a stronger, more comprehensive global perspective, and to understand that all people, no matter their nationality or ethnicity, have the same basic desire to lead healthy, loving, happy lives. I will always appreciate the lessons and values he instilled in me, and I am so incredibly grateful he was my dad.
And Sean, Barton, your son. Thank you.
Good job, Shannon. Thanks. You slayed it. And thanks, Dana, and thanks, Claire, for your contributions. Anonymous piano player, thank you. Thank you all for coming. Dick must have touched your lives in some way for you to be here now. I'm his firstborn child, Sean, and his only son
Get closer to me.
that we know of.
It's okay.
I just thought I'd say a few words to point out how he influenced my life specifically. He fancied himself an outdoorsman, something of a mountain man. Growing up in Denver, he took up snow skiing, racing, and jumping with the high school ski club. He summited some of the highest peaks in the lower 48. An important share of his legacy was to instill and nurture a love for mountainous wilderness and the natural, unfettered wildness that so often accompanies them, with family, with foreign exchange students associated with Rotary. and with numerous community members. He enticed his would-be wife, Carole, my mother, to learn to slide down mountains and to camp under starry skies. Seemingly no sooner than their son and daughter were walking, they were skiing. They spent Saturday evenings around campfires. Those traditions would pass down to their grandchildren, Marin and Jackson. The pull of the mountains was such that at a spry 67 years old, he invited me to travel halfway around the world to trek through the mighty Himalayas. His interest extended to his cars, which he learned to maintain both in the garage and on the roadside. In 1982, after 13 grueling years of service, he replaced that classic Alfa Romeo Spider you heard about earlier and set out to restore it. I was in grade school. My job was to degrease the parts as he took the car apart. Several years passed and the body was professionally painted and reassembly began. Before too long, I wanted to buy a used car. Together, we went to go and do a pre-buy inspection up in Fort Collins, only to find that this car had been hot rodded the night before and now it was burning oil. He did a little bit of diagnostics and negotiated $400 off the ask price. Once we got it home, we took it apart. We replaced the $5 valve lifter that had cracked. That car would become a never-ending project of its own, interrupted by so many other projects in my life. The years passed and progress on the Alpha stumbled, much to the chagrin of his wife. Building a clientele for the business Dick had started took priority, and other interests infringed on his drive to complete the project. A professional eventually finished it a few years ago, but there were still ghosts in that machine. The rag top wouldn't latch, it would stall. The battery would die while it was sitting in the garage. After his accident, he drove his little wheelchair out to the garage to point out to me where things stood with this car. A meaningful part of his legacy is that that car is parked outside today. With some thanks to my brother from another mother standing in the corner out of respect for his recovering illness. It's my understanding that my mom intends to pass on that car to my sister and I. I assume that project will never end as well.
And as we know, thank you both, Sean and Shannon. Thank you very much. And Carole. As we know, Dick loved nature, and one of his favorite hymns was "For the Beauty of the Earth." So if you feel like stretching your legs and standing, I invite you to stand if you would like, and let's sing "For the Beauty of the Earth." Just 2 verses. Splendor of the skies, Thank you. And now I would like to share words from Dick's brother, Doug, who could not be here today. He says, "Hello, everybody. Thank you all for being here. I'm sorry I cannot be here with you, but medical concerns prevent me from traveling at this time. Carole asked me if she could have someone say a few words to you from me about Dick. So I am honored to do so. Thank you, Carole, for asking. My name is Doug Barton, and I am Dick's older and only brother. Although Carole asked me to say a few words to you about Dick, I will be talking to Dick as well as you because I believe he is here with you. God gave me Dick to help me cope with life, especially in my younger days. Little did Dick realize how much I admired him for his personality and his wisdom. And I wish I had told him. Dick and I had many wonderful times together. Dick and I slept in the same room, and he would cover for me when I snuck out at night. We played together, skied together, vacationed together, and hiked together. Dick recently told me that he rarely got in trouble because I got blamed for much of what he did. We had a good laugh about that. You see, there were 4 of us kids in our family: Mary Lou, Bev, myself, and Dickie, as I called him, in that order. Mary Lou was the patriarch, and Bev was the socialite. I was the athlete and in trouble most of the time. And Dick was the solid anchor and the smartest of all of us. We all turned to him for guidance and direction, and he fit in everywhere he went and with any group of people. Because of this, at times, I was jealous of him. If you might be able to show us the next slide, thank you. Dick once told me that he would be a confirmed bachelor if he could make it to 30 years of age without being married. Therefore, he would never date a girl more than 3 times. That way, he could not get serious about her. Then he met Carole, and he was hooked. Boy, did he fall head over heels. I asked him what happened to his plans, and he said, "Doug, I love her so much that I want to marry her." And he did. If you know Carole, you know why. I could go on, but I've said enough. Dickie, Jeanette, and I are so proud of you and love you so very much. Rest in peace, and we will be together again someday, but not too soon, I hope. Again, thank you for being here and expressing your thoughts and love for my beautiful brother, Dick. Thank you. George, would you like to come up? This is George Ralph, one of Dick's very best friends. And another tall person.
Thank you. Thank you, Dana. Janice and I have known Dick and Carole for almost as long as we've been in Loveland, 27 years. And Shannon, thank you for the lead in to my first subject. Dick and I shared a love of Cajun food, particularly red beans and rice. And Dick and I would take turns making red beans and rice and inviting the other person to our house to share that recipe. I would go online, find a different recipe each time, and make it for something new. Dick made that same recipe every time. And his was always better than mine. After several years, I asked him where he got that recipe, and he said he got it from Sally Henry. Is Sally here today?
No, she's not here. She fell and broke
Okay, I understand that Sally fell and broke her arm,
yesterday.
so I hope that she's doing well. I will be contacting Sally to see if I can get that darn recipe. The other subject I'm going to talk about was also, a good lead in. Dick, as was mentioned earlier, is an avid outdoorsman. And he called me one time and he said he had an Italian exchange student from Rotary that wanted to do a 14er. And would I be interested in going along? And that's not an answer that I would ever say no to, or not a question I would ever say no to. So Dick and the exchange student and I went to climb Mount Evans, now known as Mount Blue Sky, I think it is. And we got to Mount Evans. As some of you, I'm sure, know, there's a parking lot up by the summit, probably not more than 100 yards from the summit, and the road goes up there. We didn't go that way, though. We started from Echo Lake in the rain. We headed up and the visibility got less and less, probably to the point where you could see no more than 50 feet ahead of you. We climbed over the slick rocks until we got to the summit. I should say a summit. We weren't sure that we wanted to go back down the way we came up, so we said, let's just go on over to the parking lot. We'll go down the road and it'll be easy getting back. So we headed down, and as we were going down, there was a father and an adult son that were coming up. And they said, do you know where the summit is? And we said, oh yeah, it's right back here. That wasn't the summit. They went up, we went down looking for the parking lot, and the clouds opened up all of a sudden, fortuitously for us. And there was a broad valley there, but no parking lot. So at least we were smart enough to turn around and go back up and back down the way that we came from Echo Lake. We talked for years that we thought that father and son probably were still looking for that summit. So I miss Dick very much. Thank you.
We have one final reflection. I'd like to invite John Turnage.
So I've known Dick for about over 30 years, mostly in Rotary. And we had a number of different exchanges throughout those years. One of the first things that I remember that happened is that he came to me in January when I had just gotten on the program committee, and he said, what are you going to do about Martin Luther King Day? And I was, what? And then we came up with a program, and pretty soon we did the program on Martin Luther King. And then the next year in January, here comes Dick. What are you going to do about Martin Luther King Day? And the next year he came back and said, what are you going to do about Martin Luther King Day? And I was ready for him. I said, what do you want to do about Martin Luther King Day? He and I went to Mexico 3 times, and every time it was a different adventure. And the last time we were there was in April of last year. We'd gone down there and we were trying to do a water filter project, which was remarkably successful. And throughout the week, I would touch base with Dick occasionally, and I'd say, you doing okay? And he goes, yeah, doing fine, having a great time. And so then we got to Thursday, and we were told, we've arranged a tour of you of the biosphere that is outside of Tehuacan, Mexico, which is where we were working. The biosphere is about 400 acres of cactuses that are found nowhere else in the world. So they picked us up about noon, and I was translating for Jose Martin, who spoke rather good English. And we were driving out of town, and I said, are we going to stop and get lunch? And he said, I'm taking you to a unique restaurant. And I said, what is it? He goes, it's a restaurant where they only serve food that was prepared like 1,000 years ago. So you're eating what the native cultures would have eaten all those thousands of years back. So we get to the restaurant and Jose Martin orders the first plate, which is appetizers. And what it is a plate of fried insects and worms. And it took a little bit of mental gymnastics, but we started eating them and they were crunchy. And Dick enjoyed it. He was very adventuresome with that and had a good time. And then we went out and we hiked around the desert for about 4 hours. And then on the way home, he said, so what are we doing tonight? And I said, oh, there's a Rotary meeting. And he said, what time is it? I said, it's at 9 o'clock. But if you get there at 9 o'clock, you're going to be the only person there because the meeting really starts 9:30 to 9:45. It's Mexican time. So he gets there, we're all there, and they start their meetings with some rather strong refreshments. And we were all having a good time. And about 10 o'clock, they serve the meal. So the meal goes to about 11:15, and then they start the meeting. And I'm translating, and I'm standing at the front of this group, and we're going back and forth, and I look over, and I notice that Dick is meditating. And I'm kind of like, what? You know? But all of us were exhausted from the day's activities. And so the meeting is going on and on and on, and we're about wrapping it up. And it's probably 12:30 to 1 o'clock. And all of a sudden, Dick looks at me and he goes, I want to do a toast, John. And I'm going like, where's this coming from? And so he starts on this toast. And so I'm translating this, and the waiter's running around trying to fill all the glasses again. And he goes, I want to propose a toast to the great friendship our two clubs have had for over 35 years. And he starts naming the different projects that we've been involved in. And he was spot on. Every project right there, boom, boom, boom. And then we have the toast. And then, of course, there has to be more toast. And so about 2 o'clock in the morning, we were heading out to our respective homes. For some reason, that toast stuck with me. And over the last few months, especially after he's been tied up with medical issues, I started wondering, why did that one toast stay with me? And I thought, I kind of think Dick is trying to say something. He's trying to tell us something. And I was going, what? What are you trying to say? And then I got it. We've done a lot of great things as a Rotary Club, both here and in the world. But you can't do it without friends. Dick was a friend.
Check, check. Thank you, John. Thank you. Thank you for sharing all of that. Thanks. And sorry, this is okay. Yes, let's do another song. So John was talking about how this next song really describes Dick. And if you pay attention to the lyrics, you will see him and hear him in these lyrics. I invite you to, let's stay seated for this one. What do you think? That was good. Let's stay seated for This Is My Song. This is my song, O God of all the nations, a song of praise for lands afar and wide. This is my home, the country where my heart is. Here are my hopes, my dreams, my holy shrine. But other hearts and other lands are beating with hopes and dreams as true and high as mine. My country's skies are bluer than the ocean, and sunlight beams on clover leaf and pine. But other lands have sunlight too, and clover, and skies are everywhere as blue as mine. Oh, hear my song, oh God of all the nations, a song of peace for their land and for mine.
Dick's journey to the mountaintop may be gone from our sight, but he's here with us in our memories and the stories that we share about the courageous world traveler, the self-starter, the man with an admirable personality, a huge heart, deep wisdom, an excellent recipe for eggs Benedict. And in tales of repairs that will always be nearly done, and the spice of Cajun food. And in the wind as we ski down the mountains to find ourselves together under the stars. This is an excerpt from a poem by Henry Van Dyke that Carole chose. I am standing upon the seashore. A ship at my side spreads her white sails to the moving breeze and starts for the blue ocean. She is an object of beauty and strength. I stand and watch her until at length she hangs like a speck of white cloud, just where the sea and the sky come to mingle with one another. Then someone at my side says, there, she is gone. Gone where? Gone from my sight, that's all. She's just as large in the mast, hull, and spar as when she was by my left side. And she's just as able to bear her load of living freight to her destined port. Her diminished size is in me, not in her. And just at the moment when someone says, there, she's gone, there are other eyes watching her coming, and other voices ready to take up the glad shout. Here she comes.
Sunlight fell, it reminded me that life can be so gracious sometimes. And I felt like everything around me was connected somehow. At night I hear the rhythm of the ocean as it breaks on the shore. think about all the things that I am grateful for. And they say, hold on to the ones you love, keep them close to you. And they say, hold on to this time we have, and let the light shine through. Sometimes I get a little bit emotional when I see love unfold. Two hearts bound by reflections of the memories they'll forever hold. And they say, hold on to the ones you love, keep them close to you. They say, hold on to this time we have, and let the light shine through.
Okay, this one's for Gabby.
All around you, open up your eyes. Feel the sunlight fall upon you. Let it free your mind. There are blessings all around you. Take a step outside. Let your heart shine in a new light. See it come alive. They say, hold on to the ones you love, keep them close to you. And they say, hold on to this time we have, and let the light shine through.
Okay, this one's for Gabby. trees of green and red roses too. I watch them bloom for me and you, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Well, I see skies of blue and I see clouds of white and the brightness of day. I like the dark and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people passing by. I see friends shaking hands, singing, how do you do? They really say, I love you. I hear babies cry and I watch them grow. They'll learn much more than we'll know, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Someday I wish.
Those images, isn't it? There we go. Ooh. Wow, so wonderful to see those images. I invite us now to sing one final hymn that is a favorite of Dick's and a favorite of many in our congregation, Blue Boat Home. And for those of you that don't know this hymn, the blue boat is the earth that we are all on. So it is an expression of love of our life here on planet Earth. I invite you to rise in body or spirit and join in singing. Oh, okay. Sorry. Here we go. Though below me I feel no motion, standing on these mountains and plains, far away from the rolling ocean, still my dry land heart can say, I've been sailing all my life now, never harbor nor port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home. Sun, my sail, and moon, my rudder, as I ply the starry sea, leaning over the edge in wonder, casting questions into the deep, drifting here with my ship's companions, all waking and dread pilgrim souls, making our way by the lights of the heavens in our beautiful blue boat home. I give thanks to the waves upholding me, hail the great winds urging me on, greet the infinite sea before me, sing the sky my sailor's song. I was born upon The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the boat home. So, my friends, as we have heard, Dick felt most alive when he was in nature. Do I hear something playing? Oh. That's okay. Dick felt most alive when he was in nature. So now I invite you, maybe close your eyes and imagine a breeze of fresh air. And breathe in that breeze, that air that gives you life, and the air that always renewed Dick's spirit. And imagine the sound of the river, the birds, and the trees. Dick knew these moments to be sacred. And even though we're not outside, we are still on this earth. So feel your feet upon this earth as it holds you with the love of creation itself. And know that Dick's love is resting with you too. Remember the fragrances of life's abundance all around you. Flowers blooming, ready for harvest. And remember Dick as he cherished these moments too. Dick knew the magic of life resides in nature. And if you are there in the magic, he is with you too. I sing the Irish blessing for Dick and for each of you. May the road rise with you. May the wind be always at your back. May the sun shine warm upon your face. May the rain fall softly on your fields. And until we meet again, may love hold you in the hollow of love's hands. Go in peace, my friends, renewed by grace and love. Amen. Please enjoy the reception. I'm sorry, I spaced out there. I did that tax. I know. But I'm not used to you playing it. I'm used to him playing it, and he does something. Yeah, and I just wasn't thinking. I mean, I was like, oh, okay, we're gonna go one more time. Oh, okay, we're gonna. Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, I knew. I was. No, but this is. Yeah. Yeah, we did have a text about this. Yeah.
Right, right. I know.
Everyone's in good spirits.
Yeah. No, I just. I did this, so. All last night. So. Makes it.
I guess. Okay. You've got three in a row this weekend, right? Service.
You're gonna mingle? Okay.
Yeah. And just let me know about the, if I can find some